Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Payoff pitch presented by Fantasy Phenom. I'm Kyle. That's Mike. Back to recap Monday's, 13 games, and look forward to Tuesday's 15 games and 14 game main slate. We got another Chicago matinee.
Yes, good to be back in the house. What's going on, Phenoms? Welcome back this evening to the Payoff pitch. It was a memorable Monday, I would say. Magnificent Monday. Whatever other M adjective you would like to add in there. But it was a good day. Didn't really get much time to research. Obviously, wasn't really on the show last night doing what I was doing in the hospital. But it still worked out well. And sometimes you just got to trust your gut, right, Kyle?
Yo, that is facts, Mike. We were talking about that last night before I went on the show, and I have done the least amount of research that I've ever done this past weekend, and I have won over $800 this weekend while moving.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying, like, if you have a process down and you do this like it is a job, like we do, it's almost subconscious at one point, you know. You just kind of follow that same process and trust your gut on things. We watch enough baseball that obviously it paid off tonight, even though we weren't able to do a lot of research.
Well, the nice thing about me, luckily, or the nice thing for me, is I haven't watched a game of baseball in probably a week with all this renovating and all this going on, but the stats don't lie. And I have a process down that I try and share with you guys that it's so simple. All I do is I'm huge on recent performance, right? So I look at who's hot and who's not, and who's ever hot I'm playing, and whoever's not I'm attacking. And so, we looked at attacking Tampa Bay with Kevin Gausman today. He's been hot. There you go. James Paxton has been on fucking fire. Bam. San Diego has been swinging the bat well. I was like, you know what? Not the best matchup for DeGrom. I'm going to fade that. Francisco Liriano, right? His splits in Oakland. Bam. Yeah, Josh steps in. He says, last 14 is all I look at now. Literally, man. I mean, baseball is such a streaky sport. If you use the sheets and have the tabs that we have, the last 14 for the pitchers and the batters and how we filter them and the stats and all that, you can really simplify your research and make a line. That's what I did. I made a late night line tonight that won $350 on a $50 entry, and I made it while driving my mattress to the new house.
Nice. I mean, that just goes to show you what you can do with the spreadsheets, man. It's all consolidated and organized in such a way that it's so easy to figure out once you get used to it. And yeah, recent performance is everything in baseball. We talk about it so many times. It's about finding those guys that are on the verge of starting that streak, and you're getting them at low cost, and fading the guys that you think are about to come out of a hot streak at a high cost. Buy low, sell high is so important in baseball DFS. And so once you get that analysis down, you really are going to see yourself your total scores leveling off, day after day.
Real quick, couple shout outs. So Dan stays holding down the arcade room. Michael Gonzalez won his first arcade GPP tonight, so salute to you guys. Jerome Spencer goes by Bub Spence in the River Group. Took down a GPP for 1K and won a second one, or placed second in another one for 500. So congrats to him.
Yeah, this isn't just like doubling up. These guys are winning tournaments.
Yeah,
it's awesome. You guys, I'm stoked for you guys. Again, I'm waiting for my day to come. It's been a minute.
You gotta start upping your buy-in a little bit. I'm telling you, man. You up those buy-ins?
It's been a rough couple weeks, man. So between work and everything going on with my dad, it's been rough as far as rolling the dice and throwing the money in. But I stay on this.
No, absolutely. That's one thing I've learned though, and this is not to throw shade on anybody that enters small entries. Um, in fact, I've been taking risks doing it. Right, like um, it's money that I probably shouldn't spend, but felt confident in my lines, and so the higher your entries are, the lower the cash lines.
Oh yeah.
So it's something I've noticed and I've started to take more of. Also, single entries, again, is the most I will ever do. I don't ever enter a multi-entry. I don't care. I don't look at the prize pot. I look at just making steady money. So single entries, and most of the tournaments I enter are under 150 people. In fact, there's a $27 39-man tournament that I love, and first place gets $500. I enter that almost every night, and I've been steadily cashing. So
Yeah, you have to consider your odds relative to the people you're playing against. If you're playing in let's say a 50 max enter contest and you're putting 5 lines in, you automatically go into that contest with worse odds than some other people. And that, to me, makes no sense. So why would you put yourself, before you even start playing, at worse odds? That's what's so important. If you're playing 3 entry max, play 3 lineups.
Yeah.
It puts you at the same odds as everybody else.
So yeah, that's always my thing, right? Always single entry, and if you can afford it, if you are looking to make this like a secondary source of income or even primary source, if you're just playing for fun, then absolutely just play small. But if you're looking to make it a secondary source of income, I think banking on the big hit is kind of like the lotto. Now it can happen, no doubt about it, but you have better odds of being profitable upping the buy-in.
Yeah, especially in baseball.
All right, man. Ace of the day, James Paxton, 61 on FanDuel, 37.35 on DraftKings. If you guys were in the lock show today and even last night, I was all over this, and I hope that you guys played him.
Yeah.
Like I said, again, just from the simplified research, right? You look at his last 14, dude was absolutely on fire. Look at Boston's last 14 strikeout rate, over 22% strikeout rate. That's uncharacteristic of them. That's a great matchup, right? Great pairing right there. Look at DeGrom. DeGrom's been playing well too, right? He scored 52 and 29.8. But San Diego's been hot. I knew the matchup wasn't as good. DeGrom also on the road wasn't my favorite spot, and he was 3K more. So everything just pointed to Paxton. I was able to get Paxton and Liriano, who Liriano finished with 10 points less than DeGrom. If that doesn't explain the importance of pitching, right, and not necessarily having to pay up, Liriano was a little under a third of the price of DeGrom, and he got 10 less points. I was able to get my Houston stack and my Baltimore stack, which didn't do as good, but Houston was lit, and that was awesome, man.
Yes, sir. I actually paired the same 2 guys on DraftKings without really even talking much to you about the slate. Mike Leake righted the ship. I think him and Paxton, if you had that pairing, Mike Leake was a little over 5K on DraftKings. If you had that pairing, you probably took down some money.
Yeah.
Almost 30 points. He almost outscored Jacob deGrom at 5.5. So.
And then Adam Conley and we knew Kevin Gausman. We liked that play last night, but Adam Conley.
Mm-hmm. Second start of the season. He's got good stuff. If you've seen his delivery, he's got a big sweeping slider that goes, back foot to the righties. I believe he's a lefty. So definitely something to look forward to for the Marlins. He had some pretty good stuff today.
Yeah, well, Texas just strikes out a shitload on the road versus. Oh no, they were at home. But they still strike out a shitload versus lefties. And Conley came to play today. And then, of course, our king of the diamond is Mr. A.J. Pollock. 3 for 5 with a home run, 2 doubles, 4 RBIs, and 2 runs. And then Giancarlo Stanton. I hope you guys played him as a one-off. Double dong. I think someone shouted it out last night on the chat. He was my elite one-off of the day. 2 home runs today. Carlos Santana, also 2 home runs. Jose Altuve just did everything today. And Eddie Rosario, that late night hammer.
Yeah, man. Giancarlo Stanton just stays red hot. AJ Pollock seemingly is on base every time. I don't know. This guy is just such a great. He does whatever it takes to get on base.
Yep. And when he's on base, he's a nuisance. Steal bases.
Right. And his price is now up to $5K. Just kind of shows that he's in kind of a groove right now. Carlos Santana, I think, is a buy low option at this point. Look at his recent numbers. He's not really where he should be in price right now on DraftKings. Let's see where they have him.
No, they upped him. He's up to 4,700 now.
Oh, they do have him up there now?
Yep.
So I know that for a while he was really low. But still, I think he's on the upswing of this streak, so I think you can still ride it.
Absolutely.
And Altuve.
Dude's on another level. That Houston team, I'm telling you, man, if you can find value pitching and you can stack Houston, you will be profitable over the course of the year. You will not win every single day, but you will win more than not if you can nail your value pitching and stack Houston. But Houston remains low-owned every single slate because they are so expensive and nobody wants to find value pitching. Everybody just wants to pay up.
Yeah, but as second baseman, it's worth to pay up for Altuve, especially on the road. This guy bets 420 on the road on the season, has an on-base percentage of 495 on the road this year. That is unreal. So, on the road, I think if the slate dictates it, it's worth paying up to him just because of that positional scarcity.
I think this dude will finish second all-time in hits behind Pete Rose.
Altuve?
Yeah.
I don't know. How old was he when he came up? Because I think that have a lot. Depend a lot. Let's see. Because I mean, if he was in the minors for a while, I mean, I'm not knocking. I think he's just gonna string 200 hit seasons one after the other.
Yeah, and that's the thing that doesn't leave you, right? Like, power fades, but ability to make contact, I mean, you can do that until you're fucking 50.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. He came up in 2011, and he's currently 27. So he came up when he was 21-ish.
Yeah.
So definitely doable. He's had 200 hits in
4 straight seasons? 3 straight?
Let's see. 3 straight. 150 in 5 straight.
Okay, there you go.
So,
I'm telling you, I think no one will ever touch Pete Rose's record unless, that guy would have to be someone like Bryce Harper coming up at 18 and Bryce being a pure contact hitter, right? To even come close to that record. But I think Altuve finishes second all time.
Could be. He'll definitely, I think, if he doesn't get hurt, man, is definitely worthy of a top 10.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So the matinee game is Carlos Rodon and John Lackey. You guys know my thoughts on an all-day slate. I don't like it. Again, neither of these matchups are too enticing enough for me to recommend stacking on an all-day slate here. So this ends up being a game fade for me.
I don't know. I like Lackey so much, though. Maybe you throw one of these bats against Lackey, hoping for a home run. No one's gonna have him. I never play the all-day slate, so I'm with you. But it's only one game before the rest of it, so you could probably build a dummy lineup with one White Sox bat and still be all right.
Facts. All right, Cincinnati and New York starting off the main slate. We have Luis Castillo and Jordan Montgomery, 2 young pitching guys, prospects, guys with high strikeout rates. Montgomery's been in a little bit of a rut as of late. Luis Castillo is definitely on the upswing. Had a bad start to his Arizona start in Cincinnati, but really turned it around towards the end, settled down, and actually ended up having a respectable performance. Wasn't a quality start, but it was respectable. Good recovery. That's kind of what you want to see from a guy that has a rough start to a game. What are your thoughts here?
Well, Luis Castillo must have the worst schedule to start a rookie season ever.
Right. Nationals twice, Diamondbacks, Yankees.
Twice, at Colorado. Now he goes to the Yankees. And he's looked, decent. Now,
221 average against with almost a 30% K rate on the season against all those teams. Imagine when he gets to face a team like the fucking Giants.
Yeah, no, in his last 3 starts, Arizona, Washington, at Arizona, he's combined for 10 hits. That's pretty crazy stat right there. And he strikes out a ton. He's had over 5 strikeouts in every single start this season. I think you can chalk him up for at least 6 in this one. But the Yankees' bats have been coming alive of late. They come back home where they do play better at home versus righties. You see there, like you said, Castillo, we have never seen his stuff before, so I could see this kind of being maybe a quality start type situation for him.
You know my thoughts on stacking against pitchers that a team's never seen before.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So yeah. Castillo gets some considerations for me. Jordan Montgomery has been in a rut. If you're looking at box scores, that last start, all of those runs came in 1 inning. And after that second inning, he kept them relatively hitless and finished all 6 innings, So he got beat up in that 1 inning and looked good otherwise. I still think that he's another guy that can go out there on any given day and get you 5-6 strikeouts. He's got swing and miss type stuff. And Cincinnati hasn't been what they once were.
Yeah, they've been kind
beginning of this year.
Yeah, slowing down a little bit. So I don't find myself attacking Montgomery, but Castillo definitely deserves consideration tomorrow. If nothing else, nice upside with his strikeouts.
Yeah, kind of a bat fade in this game for me.
Agree. All right, man. Houston and Philly. Guess where I'm stacking tomorrow, Mike?
You are going to play Houston, right?
That is facts. Surprise, surprise. I have played them every day for the last 5 days. Literally, this entire weekend, right? I talked about lack of research. I just played Houston.
Again, it's not a bad way to go. So it wins you money, that's for sure.
And then with that, I like some Charlie Morton in this matchup.
I wouldn't sleep too much on Nick Pivetta. I think he's one of their better arms, to be honest with you. He's been very up and down this season so far. For what it's worth, he's much better at home than he is on the road. But Houston is another animal altogether. Charlie Morton, I talked about it couple starts before, how he's kind of retooled his approach since coming from Pittsburgh. This is actually a revenge game. He played in Philly for a little bit.
Upped his arm velocity, or his pitch velocity, I should say, not arm velocity.
Right, and he started throwing the curveball a hell of a lot to the lefties, and that's why you see some reverse splits this season. He's got a 28% K rate versus lefties this year, and he's throwing his curveball almost 40% at the time versus lefties. So I tried. Yeah, so you look over at our BVP pitch type tab for Phillies. Not like they are terrible versus the curveball. Maikel Franco would be the one guy that would worry you. But still, a lineup full of lefties, young guys. They've been playing well as of late, but I think you would have to think that his strikeout potential increases when you have 7 out of your 9 players are lefties, and that's getting all strikeouts. You know what I mean?
Agree. And then with Nick Pivetta, he is a reverse splits guy, and so one thing with his, I believe it's his slider, he throws it. It's very what's the word I'm looking for? Righties are I'm trying to remember what the description was, but anyways, lefties can't hit it. Like, it just barrels into them, and righties just absolutely destroy it, right? And so I'm not looking at the lefties tomorrow. I hope Evan Gattis plays and if you're on FanDuel, please play Evan Gattis for 2,800. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Bregman is on another fucking level right now. Play him.
Yep.
Yuli Gurriel is a reverse splits guy, as is. Pair that with Nick Pivetta, who's reverse splits. Yuli was the first guy I built my lineup with, Mike. Before I put any other player in, I put Yuli in. And then Altuve. I don't know if Springer plays. If he doesn't and Marisnik plays, Marisnik is cheap on both sides. He's also a reverse splits guy. There's just so many guys on this Houston team, righties, that hit righties well, and pair that with Pivetta not pitching to righties well. I'm loading up on the Houston righties tomorrow.
You know, it's weird. I was listening to a Fangraphs podcast today, and they were talking about this outcome predictor that people use for chess and applying it to baseball. And using this, metric, they found that the Dodgers and the Astros were both finished with over 100 wins, and that will be the first time since '99 when the Braves and the Yankees did it. And they were speculating that's kind of why we're not seeing much going on at this trade deadline, because if you're going to make moves to get to the second wild card and you have two dominant teams in the league, what's the point? If you're not the Astros or the Dodgers, why even
it's kind of like
go there?
It's kind of like the Warriors and Cavs.
Right. It's like, well, I guess, trade pieces in basketball are a little different.
No, but you know what I'm saying? It's like
different commodities.
Why would you trade your prospects to try and win this year when those teams?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
what they were saying. So, be interesting to see what happens at the end of this trade deadline. If anything does.
Did you hear today? Marcus Stroman, Aaron Sanchez, Rich Hill, and Josh Beckett are organizing.
Josh Beckett.
Yeah, Josh Beckett are organizing a protest to the MLB union about the juiced baseballs. I looked at a graph today. There have been 1.75 times as many blisters in the last 2 years as any other year previously.
Yeah, and it's going up in sort of a bell curve fashion. I saw a report from some guy from Baseball Prospectus who had been studying it. Its relevance to the home run. I mean, it's a little sketchy. You know what I mean? Baseball trying to bring fandom or
entertainment,
ratings to the sport makes sense. And so even the slightest bit of difference. We've also seen it with guys that get called up. From the minors to the majors, because there's a different manufacturer for the minor league balls and the major league balls, and you're seeing home run hitters that weren't hitting them in the minors.
So another thing, they have stitched the baseballs differently over the past 2 years, and they've got numbers.
Right, they're a little tighter.
The ball is traveling on average 7 feet farther and 1.5 miles per hour faster.
Right.
7 feet farther on average. That means all of those, like, right at the warning track home runs a couple years ago are now over the wall. Right? And that's on average. That's not indicating, obviously add the exit velocity to it. So there's definitely something going on. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the balls are juiced, if guys are changing their swings. We have more strikeouts. That has nothing to do with the juiced ball. So, part of it could be a combination of both. Guys changing their swings, more uppercut. But also the balls.
It's definitely a combination of both, and I mean it sucks for the pitchers to have to deal with that. And I can imagine if there's research behind it, and if this gets legs to media, outlets, changes will come.
It's going to be a bad look for baseball if there is in fact juice baseballs and that was swept under the rug.
Yeah.
That's going to be another steroid.
It's looking to be that way, though, unfortunately.
That's going to
because
be bad.
Back in 2013, 2014, we were looking at almost record low run totals in baseball, and record long games, and it was just, some things need to change. But I believe in Manfred. I think he's a very innovative guy. So I don't think he's scared to make the big changes if they need to be made.
No, but it's still, if that was a change and it wasn't announced, that's still sketchy.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, Milwaukee, Washington. I think this has game stack written all over it. Edwin Jackson pitched fantastic against the Angels. Didn't get a ton of strikeouts, which is what you'd expect versus the Angels team, but still not a good pitcher in my opinion. And Zach Davies again, he's also very much a reverse splits guy. And Washington has been mad hot since the All-Star break, so I love Rendon tomorrow. Murphy. I'm off Zimmerman, man. I think that regression has hit him. I think he's going to start to really cool down. But Bryce Harper is Bryce.
Yeah, I think Washington opens this series in a nice time. Milwaukee's been struggling as a team. Other than Braun and Shaw, really, this whole team is kind of struggling right now. They carry a almost 30% K rate as a team over the last 2 weeks. Yeah. That's far and away the top number in that span. So maybe for that reason, if Edwin Jackson comes out and has some stuff, he's facing the team that strikes out the most as of late. We talk about recent performance. Maybe he's a pay down option as well. But other than that, usual suspects. If you want to choose to pay up to Washington, Davies has been steady. He hasn't been really bad or really good. So I think there's better places to go.
Agree. Oakland, Toronto, we have Sonny Gray, who I love tomorrow, and Cesar Valdez. Now, Cesar Valdez is making a spot start, so you will have to take into consideration his last 14 numbers when you look here. One was a 4-inning outing against Boston, and I believe his last one was a 1-inning outing. So he's pitched well in relief, but a start's a completely different animal. So that is worth noting.
Yeah, and Valdez isn't like some rookie that's trying to make his name. He's
a veteran.
A career long reliever.
Yeah, so, I mean, he is what he is. He's never been great. So, right. But again, Oakland on the road is a thing, man, and it's not my favorite spot. They are better on the road versus righties. Far and away better than they are versus lefties, but they're still not good. But they are cheap and they're hot. So maybe they put it together and they have a good game tomorrow.
Maybe.
And then Sonny Gray.
I can see it.
Yeah. Sonny Gray, what he's been doing is just on another level right now. Toronto is on another level in the reverse direction. So I love Sonny Gray. I mean, he's been just Mr. Consistent, right? You look at his numbers up and down, they're pretty much the same. Not really a splits guy at all. He's dominant to both hands. He is a little worse away than he is at home, but that's not a huge difference. And then his last 14 days have been phenomenal. 21% hard contact rate over the last 14 is something I like to see.
21%. That's awesome. Yeah, and you couple that with over the last 7 days, Toronto has the worst hard contact rate in baseball, 23% as a team. So there you go. You couple those two stats together, both recent performance, hard contact rate is a stat we look at a lot. I think that makes Sonny Gray firmly in play if you're paying up for pitching. He's got 5 straight quality starts. Throws his out pitch is his slider. It's got 55% K rate and a 22% swinging strike rate. And the Blue Jays as a team this season are the second worst team in baseball versus that pitch. So I think that adds to his K upside, and we've seen him strike out 10 guys. So I think if I'm paying up, it's to Sonny Gray tomorrow.
There you go. All right, Baltimore. So I mentioned today that it was a risky play because Baltimore on the road is not as good as they are at home. Jake Faria on the season has been good. He struggled a little bit in his last couple starts. In fact, is not striking out a ton of guys. And let me kind of give a story here because I was telling Mike about this earlier. So as I'm moving today, right, I took a break and I went and ate in a Chinese place. It's called Happy Inn Chinese Cuisine. It's literally right.
Happy Inn?
Happy Inn. I was like, whatever, dude. It's probably cheap, right? I thought it was a hole in the wall place, cheap Chinese food. Why not?
Right.
Um, and I'm looking at my lines and I'm just sad, right? I'm looking here like Baltimore has one run and it's Adam Jones who I played, and then Houston's in a rain delay and I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna play. And my fortune cookie says, "Good things will come to you in the near future." And then Baltimore went on a little tear in the top of the eighth. All the top three guys all got runs and points, and then Houston obviously went on their tear, and that game resumed. And so, long story short, fortune cookies are real. You should always believe what they tell you.
That, and if you're ever in a DFS rut, you better go fucking eat at that place again, man. You should go there. You should become a regular at that place.
It was literally, I walked in there and there was nobody, and then I saw in a corner there was a family of three, and that's it. It was just me and a family of three in there.
What did you get to eat? What's your go-to?
I just got chow mein because it was cheap.
So is that like your favorite Chinese food thing to get? Chow mein?
I don't eat out at all. I always
No.
So it was the cheapest thing on the menu. I'm not even sure if it was real chicken, but it filled me up for an hour.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, I made some homemade chicken pot pie tonight. It was banging.
Bet. So with that, I don't think I stack Baltimore tomorrow, man. I don't want to attack Jake Faria, a guy that's been really, really good on the season. And then
this will be the third time that Baltimore's seen Jake Faria. Who does that benefit? I think.
Well, it definitely benefit. In my opinion, it benefits Baltimore.
I agree, and if you look at it, Baltimore is one of the hottest teams as of late, and we've been calling this for how long? That they're about to break out of this. Over the last 14 days, the Orioles have a OPS of 855 as a team.
Dude,
that ranks fourth.
Continue to drop. Manny Machado is down to 3,300 on DraftKings. He was 36 today, and I played him because he was too cheap. He's 33 tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not right.
And then Adam Jones and Jonathan Scope have been Mr. Consistent over the last week. They have double-digit points in... Adam Jones has double-digit points in 6 straight games, and Jonathan Scope, I don't think he hit double digits today, but he had it in 5 straight before today.
Jonathan Scope is having a breakout season, man.
He is. This dude.
But yeah, Orioles top 5 in line drive rates and hard contact rates if you value better ball data in the last 2 weeks.
And I guarantee you Baltimore will go low-owned again tomorrow because of Faria and people, know his name. He has a name now in the DFS or in baseball, right? Like, people know that he's no scrub.
Yeah, there's not a lot of, super bad pitching on this slate.
Agree. Well, Wade Miley's one of them. But
yeah, I was going to say, if there was one, it'd probably be that guy.
But then again, Tampa sucks versus lefties. So, besides, I don't know. Evan Longoria, maybe. Corey Dickerson hits lefties okay. He's 2,900 on FanDuel, but not a lot of power versus lefties. I don't know, man. I don't find myself stacking Tampa at all, even against Miley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tim Beckham has had some severe regression come his way. Yeah. Wilson Ramos left the game in the 5th inning today with a head, I think it was like a head laceration of sorts. So we'll see what happens there if he plays. I know they've been kind of tiptoeing with him anyway. So this lineup might dictate what you do if you want to play some bats there or not.
Yeah, if Wilson Ramos isn't in the middle, you lose probably their best bat versus lefties.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City, Detroit, we have Danny Duffy, Michael Fulmer. If I'm not mistaken, these two guys just faced off, right?
Yeah, Fulmer did not look good in that game. And he was looking good coming in. I think that game was in Kansas City, and I actually played him because I thought it'd be a good price pivot, and he looked halfway decent in the 5 starts coming into that game. But maybe he goes out there with some revenge in mind. I don't know. What do you think?
I like Duffy more. And that's crazy to say because Detroit at home. I'm going to fade both pitchers, but I'm not going to play Fulmer. Kansas City is better a better road team than they are home, and it's not surprising at all given that stadium, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kauffman Stadium is just a pitcher's paradise. But we've seen Kansas City absolutely flourish on the road. And did you see the trade they made today? Trevor Cahill is now a Royal.
Yeah.
They are clearly fighting for something. They are buyers.
Yeah, remember? You remember, right? May 1st.
Yep.
Oh, where's
Moose going?
Lorenzo
Where's
Cain
going?
gonna go? Where's Hosmer gonna go? Hey, they righted the ship pretty quick, man. I think this team is definitely a team to be reckoned with. I do like Fulmer. I like how efficient he is. He pitches late in the games often. Over his last 6 starts, I believe, he's went into the 8th inning 3 times. So I like that from a DFS perspective. He's been improved. He's got an improved ground ball rate. The thing with him is just, are the strikeouts going to come? They're very few and far between with him.
Well, the problem with him is, over his last couple starts, his Ks have been down, his fly balls are up, his home runs are up, and he holds an xFIP of 5 over his last.
Well, he just got destroyed in that last. That's why you're seeing that in the last 14.
Yeah, but I mean,
other than that, he's been good. Like his last start, he went 2 2/3 with 5 earned, and the start before that, he went 8 innings with only 2 hits.
That was against Toronto, right?
Yeah, and then the next start was at KC.
That was a terrible DFS start.
Yeah, he went 8 innings, only gave up 2 hits, and struck out 3 for 24 DraftKings points.
Yeah, no, not for his price. I don't know that I stack KC tomorrow, but there's no way I'm playing either of these pitchers.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
Yeah, no, there's no upside to me here. And Kansas City's not a team that strikes out a lot, so
feels like a complete fade.
Yeah, games. You know what? I can get behind Detroit. Detroit has been hot. Kinsler, Upton, Castellanos. There are guys you can play here, the righties. But again, Duffy's not my favorite guy to attack on this slate.
Mm-hmm.
Kush asks, how's your dad?
Everything's good. We just kind of had a hiccup, really. So he had the surgery a couple weeks ago, and he'd been running a fever, so we decided to go back to the hospital, and he had this infection. So they dealt with the infection, and then they sent him home today. So we're just going to keep the recovery process going, hopefully fight this infection off, and hopefully we'll be back to work soon.
There you go.
Thanks for asking, though. We're doing it slowly but surely. I'm definitely going to have to stay on him now.
Make sure it doesn't spread.
Yeah. Sure. Make sure he's just sitting and doing nothing.
This might be
watching baseball for me.
Yeah, there you go. This might be one of my favorite spots tomorrow. Cleveland. They are hot. They hit righties well at home, and they get Jesse Chavez. Carlos Santana, we mentioned him. He's hot. Jose Ramirez, still like him. Francisco Lindor's hot. Bradley Zimmer's hot. Now Jesse
Almonte
Chavez,
guy can hit it a mile.
Yeah,
2,200 on DraftKings on FanDuel.
Yeah, if he plays tomorrow,
I don't see why he wouldn't.
Well, what they've been saying is he kind of is giving Bradley Zimmer days off with Lonnie Chisenhall on the DL. So it just depends.
Right.
Okay. But if he does play, he's definitely a bargain.
Yeah. Definitely want to attack Chavez. He's one of the worst pitchers on this slate. So I agree. I think Cleveland and Houston, right? So, I mean, if that's where we're going as far as bats, we're going to have to find guys to pay down to. We mentioned a few options that we like, not in love with, but you make that call every day, you know. Are you more comfortable with the team against a bad pitcher, or are you more comfortable with a pitcher against a bad team? I think, again, on this slate, I'd rather start with bats.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I did, right? Houston. I started my lineup with Houston. So, needless to say, I'll be paying down at pitcher tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a way to pay up for pitching and stack Houston. So.
Mm-hmm. Again, the guy I'm paying up to is Sonny Gray. If I do, Clevenger comes in at 9 4, which is
about $1,000 less.
I think I'd rather go up to Gray. I don't know. Clevenger's intriguing, but what worries me is, like I said in his last start, is the advanced metrics suggest there's some sort of regression coming. He's got a 2.73 ERA with a 4.18 xFIP and a 2.30 BABIP. That is not sustainable, I don't think. But we talk about guys that are hot. In his last 33 innings pitched, 6 starts, he's got 35 Ks with a 1.36 ERA and a batting average against of 161. So that is an extended period of being hot.
Yeah.
Six straight starts there of playing well. You see his strikeout percentage there. Obviously, the walks come with him, and the Angels don't strike out a ton, but they also aren't a very good team as a total. So Clevenger in play for me. If I'm not going Gray, I think the next guy is Clevenger as far as price.
See, I think I would rather go Clevenger than Gray. Higher strikeout upside, in my opinion, and I think a safer, and I quote, floor, if that's a thing in baseball, with how bad LA is.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel a little bit more comfortable with Gray than Clevenger, but I see what you're saying.
That's fair. I don't think either's a bad choice, but if we're looking at it neck and neck, I would take the price savings. That's kind of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, I love a Cleveland stack already tomorrow. We have Miami and Texas. Texas has been pretty cold as of late. And they get Dan Straley, who's not been pitching well. And, actually, I want to answer your question real quick because you mentioned that. Would you rather take a struggling pitcher versus a bad team, or struggling bats versus a bad pitcher? To me, it depends on strikeouts, right? If I see a pitcher that's not been great but has strikeout potential, a la Francisco Liriano, then I'll take that chance. If there's no K upside, I will never take that chance.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I look beyond the numbers, and I like to look at batted ball data, So say I have a bad pitcher on the mound, but he seemingly is giving up, he's allowing a ton of runs, but his hard contact rate is, in the around 30%, and his ground ball rate is around 50%, but he's still giving up a lot of runs. I think I'd rather side with the pitcher. Okay. And the same with the other way around. If I got a guy that's got a good peripheral, good batted ball profile, you got to think that eventually he's going to come out of the slump. We talk about the Orioles as a team. They've got a great batted ball profile, and they continue just can't put runs together and not hit them out. But it comes.
True.
Like Cole Hamels is a guy that I think you look at his batted ball profile. Look at his average against his WOBA. But then you look at his hard contact rate, and it suggests that, he shouldn't have a 188 average over the last 14 days. He's getting hit hard 43% of the time,
Mm-hmm.
Like, eventually that's going to, even itself out.
So Josh makes a good point, though. Looking beyond the numbers can get you in some trouble if the regression doesn't happen that game. Do you ever factor that in when you look at those advanced, the batted ball profiles? Because,
it's definitely more of a season-long approach when you talk to fantasy. But I think for DFS, I like to look even further and look at pitch selection, try to figure out, what type of pitches are going to be thrown to what type of batter, because these guys have all of the tools that we have. And that's why, like I said, I like Sonny Gray. He's outpitches his slider, and the Blue Jays are really bad against the slider. I know they've been bad recently, and they could be primed to break out, but,
See, I don't know. Maybe I simplify things too much, but I've become so big on recent performance because the sport is so streaky that it literally has just become, what is the guy doing in his last 14 days? And if he decides to all of a sudden go cold, then I bite that bullet. But more than not, they don't. And you can start to see when a guy's like most guys don't just drop from, pitching great to getting blown up. And so when you start to see regression, that's kind of where I start to jump off the train. But I pretty much just look at recent performance and then compare it to season long. with Wayne recent performance much higher.
Well, like I said, I think Cole Hamels is a good example. Minus his last start, he has 3 quality starts and has given up less than 5 hits in all 3 of them. But you look at his hard contact rate, and it would suggest that he should have been giving up more hits. So it's like, yeah, he has been playing well. If you look at his game logs on DraftKings or FanDuel, but then you look at how hard he's been getting hit, and you wonder,
Well, I don't look at game
is
logs.
This recent?
I look at the counting stats, like strikeout percent. I look at the hard contact, things like that. Like Cole Hamels wouldn't pass my test tomorrow because I'm not a fan of. I don't buy into average. I am a fan of Woba. He's been limiting Woba, but he doesn't have enough strikeout upside for me, and the hard contact is throwing me off. But like if I'm looking over,
I'm just using it as an example where you see a lot of green and a lot of red. You got to pick. What do you think is the real deal here?
No, I agree. I just think, like for example, someone like Clevenger, right? Like even if regression is coming, I look at the strikeout rate and the Woba, and I'm seeing low Woba and high strikeout. I mean, if regression happens, it happens, but I'm going to ride that train.
I feel you. I don't know that the Angels are the right team to right to the ship as far as these stats go. I'm just saying.
No, for sure.
It's there.
Yeah. So yeah, not gonna stack Texas tomorrow. Not gonna pitch Straley either, though. He has kind of been on a downward spiral right now. Not a spiral, but downward trend. And then Cole Hamels, again, not a guy I really want to attack. I think that I can get a couple bats here. Real Muto and Stanton would be 2 guys that I look at. Tyler Moore could be a cheap play as well with Justin Bour going on the DL. But not going to stack the Marlins.
Yeah, I think Texas could be interesting, though. You got a guy with a high fly ball rate in this ballpark. Never is a recipe for success. Definitely a GPP play. We've seen what he can do as far as striking out, and Texas the same there. We saw it again today with Conley. So I could go either way with Straley or the Rangers tomorrow.
Colorado, St. Louis. Mentioned today, Colorado on the road is really, really, really bad. And I don't know why. Because it's not like they're bad comparatively. They're bad, like below league average bad on the road, which should not happen with how good they are at home. You would think that they'd be at least average on the road, but they're not. So Lance Lynn is a guy I'm definitely looking at. He has a fantastic splits versus righties. Lefties, a little bit of a cause for concern. So Blackman, Parra, if he plays, worry me a little bit, but the lineup as an entirety does not. And so I think Lynn does deserve a look tomorrow. He's been playing really well as of late.
Yeah, like you said, Colorado on the road, it seems like a whole different team. St. Louis has woken up a little bit. John Gray is the epitome of a GPP play, I think, at this point. Another guy where it looks like the batted ball data doesn't really match the performance, but he's got very good K upside. I think he averages almost a strikeout an inning this year. And we've seen St. Louis be a pretty up and down team. And right now, I think they kind of have it together with Pham and Molina and De Jong doing their thing, kind of carrying the team. So looks like it's feeling like a fade for me overall.
You're not on Lynn at all.
But I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if either of these pitchers end up in the top 5 tomorrow. But to me, I think I'm just gonna fade the game.
Yeah, I won't pitch John Gray, but I do like Lance Lynn tomorrow. Atlanta, Arizona, we got Mike Fultonawitz and Taijuan Walker making his return from the paternity list. Fultonawitz, very much a splits guy, struggles enormously versus lefties, but destroys righties. Arizona at home is a thing that's been through and true again and again. So there's no way I pitch Fulte tomorrow. If he goes out and has a good game, he defies the numbers. But Arizona at home versus righties is their best split. A 220 ISO and 361 WOBA. I like Pollock again. They're expensive, but and they'll get low ownership just like Houston will. So, if you're trying to pick between Arizona and Houston and you're looking at, high price options, I think those would be your two to look at.
Yeah, I like, who'd you say? Pollock,
Peralta, Lamb, JD.
Yeah, I like Arizona. I feel like 5,300 is a lot for Jake Lamb. I know what he's been doing. He also crushes the slider, which Fulte throws a ton. But yeah, you got to ride Pollock. I think if I'm paying up for anybody, it's probably him at this point. And then Taijuan Walker. He's got the stuff, man. He just hasn't put it together as a whole.
Yeah, I don't pitch him, but I'm not going to stack Atlanta either.
I don't know. I could get on it. As of right now, I'm not. But I could see myself. The price is right if you want to pay up.
That's fair. Paying down a pitcher.
Yeah, pay up. That's what I'm saying. Paying up a pitcher if you want to do that. Prices are right there in Chase Field.
Yeah. Boston, Seattle, we got Drew Pomeranz, Felix Hernandez. I like some Felix tomorrow, man. He's been pitching well since he came off the DL. I believe he has 4 quality starts in 4 of his last 5
out of 6.
5 out of 6 have been quality starts. Holds a 27% strikeout rate. Mentioned Boston's strikeout rate earlier on the show. They're holding a 22% K rate over the last 14, which is uncharacteristic of them. But ride that. Rafael Devers, I believe is how you pronounce his name, will be up tomorrow and probably plays versus the righty. Seems like a rushed promotion to me.
It definitely is.
Comments from the GM kind of gave that indication as well. He said, we're just going to ride the good with the bad.
He was in AAA for like a week.
Yeah. I think he had, 38 at-bats?
So. Yeah, it was definitely a rush thing. They were trying to get a third baseman, man. I mean, they've just destroyed. I mean, they had Travis Shaw. They gave him up for nothing. They tried to ride Sandoval. That didn't work out. I mean, yeah, Devers is their top prospect. They're definitely rushing him into a pennant race. So we'll see what happens. I think it's a worthy stash. We'll see where they have him priced at. If maybe you want to go there, I don't know.
189 on DraftKings.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's like a prize prospect. He's just the Red Sox top prospect. They've kind of let most of their guys go. Some more stats on Felix. Like you said, 5 out of 6 quality starts since returning from the DL. He's got over a strikeout an inning, 38 Ks in 36 innings. He's given up 11 earned runs in those 6 starts, and all except 3 of them have come via the home run. And we talk about how Boston doesn't hit home runs.
Yep.
So if you're talking about a guy who's striking guys out and the only time he's really given up runs is via the home run, makes a lot of sense to pitch Felix. In the last 14 games, Boston is last in ISO, last in WOBA, last in line drive percentage, last in hard contact rate.
There you go.
All teams in baseball.
We have Minnesota, Los Angeles. Jose Barrios has not been good of late. And then Kenta Maeda stays in the rotation because of the injuries. Dave Roberts has said that they will now go with a 6-man rotation looking forward. So expect Maeda to stay in there. Whether that means shorter outings, I don't know. Maybe they, obviously with an extra day's rest, they might let them go a little farther. We'll see. But
so who do they have now? They have Maeda, Ryu, McCarthy, Wood, and
McCarthy's on the DL, and so is Kershaw.
Right. So who's the rotation? How would they have 6 guys? I don't understand.
Looking forward when the guys get back. He's saying.
Okay.
So instead of moving Maeda back to the bullpen, they're going to keep him in and just go with a 6-man rotation for the rest of the year, according to him.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't think it's a terrible spot for Maeda. I don't think I'm wanting to pitch him. He's shown flashes. Minnesota had a good game today. Didn't finish the job, though, with that terrible bullpen. And then Jose Barrios, man, he has the stuff to be elite when he wants to be.
But hasn't been of late.
Exactly. It's been very up and down major league career for Jose Barrios.
Do you think the Dodgers?
It really has. I don't know that I'm betting on paying up against Barrios, because you're going to have to do it if you want to pay the guys you want to pay for. Grandal had a home run today. I think Peterson did. Maybe he's in play at 3,400. But again, if you're trying to full stack here, you're paying up for it, and I feel like there's worse pitchers to really bet against.
I'm with you. New York and San Diego, we have Wallace Chacín and Seth Lugo. I love me some Chacín tomorrow. 7,400 on DraftKings, 8K on FanDuel. We know his home road splits. They are absolutely ridiculous how good he is at home and how bad he is on the road.
It's insane.
With that, he got destroyed in New York, but again, home road splits. I'm all on it, man. I'm gonna throw Chacín. He was actually the first pitcher I put in my lineup tonight when I was making the line. So,
man, his fantasy value is definitely climbing. Let's put it that way. And it's because of the home road splits. 188 batting average against, a 194 ERA at home this season. He has given up 6 home runs, and his last start wasn't that great at home against San Francisco. I think a lot of people were on him. He did have a quality start, but it wasn't really that great of a fantasy outing. He never really has had a huge K upside, but his ground ball rate is why he's so good at home. But yeah, like you mentioned, in New York versus the Mets, he gave up 8 hits and 7 runs in 2/3 of an inning before he got pulled. So, I don't know if he just didn't sleep the night before or the Mets just kind of ate their Wheaties that day, but that was just probably the worst start of his season came against the Mets this year.
Yeah, I still like it. Like I said, Chacín at home. 25% hard contact at home. Over his last couple starts, 17% hard contact, 20% fly ball rate. I love it for his price tomorrow. Again, price dependent.
I'm going to ride this Jabari Blash guy if he's going to stay that cheap on DraftKings.
If he plays
guy hits the ball very hard.
Yeah. No, he has, definitely. And then, finally, Pittsburgh and San Francisco. Jameson Taillon on FanDuel is only 8.3, but on DraftKings he is 10.9, and he is the most expensive pitcher on the slate.
Yep.
That does not sit well with me. I do not think Taillon is deserving of the top-priced pitcher on a slate. So, personally, I will not pay up to it. But that's not to say he won't have a respectable game. He's going to be kind of, to me, how I looked at DeGrom tonight. Not worthy of his price.
Yeah, I feel you. Dynamic pricing in San Francisco, we've seen that a lot with DraftKings this year. Taillon has looked he's looked great. The problem with him is we talk about the benchmark, 7 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts. He's only pitched 7 innings twice in his last 13 starts, or in 13 starts this season. So for the top price pitcher on DraftKings to not make it 7 innings very often, that's a problem. Now, San Francisco sees they're one of the worst in the league at seeing pitches per at bat. Obviously, a hard contact rate under 30% this year for Taillon, and San Francisco has a team hard contact rate like 28%. I think it's like
they're not good.
I don't know. It's one of the worst. They're not good, exactly. So it's just a price thing. If he was the same price as Clevenger, I would want a Taillon, but he's $2,000 more. And then Bumgarner really we haven't really seen his stuff yet.
He hasn't been good since he came back at all.
But maybe that's a reason to play him in a tournament at his price.
I can't do it. Pittsburgh is hot. I can't do it. So.
No, I feel you. I'm just saying you're getting a discount on Bumgarner tonight.
Yeah. All right, so to recap kind of where we're at, pitchers I am looking at are Sonny Gray, Mike Clevenger, Lance Lynn, Felix Hernandez, and Wallace Chassin. The guys that I am looking to attack are, I'll stack Houston. I think a Washington stack is in effect. I think a Baltimore stack is still in play. I love a Cleveland stack, and I like an Arizona stack.
Yeah, I'm on for stacks. I'm on Cleveland, Houston, Washington. Who am I missing? Cleveland, Houston, Washington, Baltimore. Yep. And then the guys I like the most: Gray, Felix, Clevenger, Morton, and
Oh, Morton too. I forgot Morton. I like Morton.
Yeah, that's it for me.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys again for tuning in. Last night show in the apartment, but I'll be back. Tomorrow will be an early lock show again. I'm sorry, but I have to be out of here by 2 p.m. my time, and I won't have Wi-Fi in the new place until Wednesday. So, or until tomorrow night. But so early lock show tomorrow, 1 o'clock, maybe 1:15, 1:30. We'll see. I'll push it as late as I can, and then yeah. So make sure you guys get into that. Again, that's kind of where we give down and break down the specific plays of where we're looking at. Like today, Paxton over DeGrom, Liriano, those type of guys. So
that's right. Narrowing down the player pool even further.
Exactly. So make sure to get on that lock show.
Yep, you guys heard this this is our overview of how we look at this slate, what we're thinking, what our first takes are. Obviously, that lock show is much more in depth on which plays we are valuing over the rest.
Exactly. Well, the bats and whatnot, and then obviously final pitcher moves.
Right.
So.
10-4.
All right, guys. Well, have a wonderful night. We will see you guys tomorrow and make it a profitable Tuesday.
All right, guys.